ego cannot see the truth. It can only edit what you think your truth is, which is exactly why you will never understand what your truth is, because your ego is filtering the things that you have fear in, you have pride in, and what you put pain into. That's exactly why it's meant to protect your identity, but never your truth, because how can you protect your truth when your truth cannot protect itself? And if you understand what your truth is, how can you filter out what the truth is when your truth is lying to you by what your ego has put upon what you thought you were supposed to be seeking, even though your ego cannot seek out what the truth is supposed to be being, even though in your being you have no truth to be in. Because to be in truth, you have to be able to define that by losing control. But to lose control, that would be chaos. So how do you control chaos? You put it into order. So if you put it into order, who's putting it in order if it's not you and your control of your mind that is in order by higher controllers that can't order their mind to be where you are today? This is exactly why when you tell your ego, I want to have control of my life, I want to have control of where I want to be, who I want to become, and where I'm supposed to be in life, it doesn't want you to see that because it only wants to show you reality that makes you feel safe, or it makes you feel as if what you're doing is right or righteous. But the thing is, though, what you think is right and what you feel is truth, that's still your lie, because you are seeking out something to get validation for what you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, but you think you know something because you have been taught or you've been conditioned to believe so. But if you believe that you are what you're being, what is your being outside of your identity? Nobody really knows because they can't classify what or categorize what they're being in ignorance. That's exactly why when you stop speaking truth, you become more silent, because silence is golden, and for that to be golden, you have to be able to leave labels alone, leave language alone, because labels and titles are enchanting as far as our language. So the English language is teaching you how to go against yourself, and when you go against yourself, you got to ask yourself, if I was to be composed in myself, if I was to find peace within myself, if I was to find an alignment with where I'm being, what am I ignoring within myself? Because the ego wants to be loved, but the thing is, though, it's so loved in a loving vibration that it feels lonely. But how can you be lonely when you love yourself? And if you love yourself, you can never be alone because you choose to do so. But when you know how you are in silence and by being lonely, you're not alone nor lonely, because you are being guided by your observations that have been multiplied in different dimensions that are watching you right next to you. But we can't even see that because we see less than 1% of our existence, but we can see everything in our world. You will realize that your whole spiritual team is around you, rooting for you to do better. But people are afraid to do better because when they do better, the ego decides to not get better. But you got to choose to get better by being better mentally and spiritually, and to not making excuses for what you're in for today.